It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. Oh, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Yeah.
And welcome to the Wayne Bradley Show, 9:10 a.m. your superstation. Glad to be back, folks. We've had so much going on, and I just want to start off my show by giving a small moment of silence to Cliff Russell and let the folks know I'm praying for his family. He was a good man. We had some great debates. Always a gentleman about it. Never got ugly. A lot of people, we need to work on that. But Cliff was always fair with me. He would call me and say, I want you to come on and talk about this. But he would tell me before I even came on that he disagreed with me. But we always were able to have a cordial, respectful conversation. And I think in the next hour, I'm going to replay, in honor to him, I'm going to play one of our one-on-one interviews that we had about a couple months ago. So just want to let people know I'm praying, pray for his family and just pray for peace for all his listeners and folks, because I know this was a sad day for a lot of folks around here, and everyone at the 910 family, and obviously his supporters and listeners. So I'm praying for the Russell family. God bless you, Cliff. You were a great man, and like I said, always fair with me. So we're gonna pray for his family. Got a lot to talk about. In terms of some of the things that have happened over the last week. We're going to talk about the tragedy in Parkland, Florida, and what appears to me to be the only difference what I've seen in this is that the youth and the kids are actually speaking up. Now, there's been some folks that have tried to say that they've been propped up and being pushed by others, but, that's not for me to judge that. I think that if I was in a shooting like that at my school and I wanted to speak up, and even if I was running off emotion, the public perception of that could change over time, folks. The NRA, who is one of the strongest lobbying forces in D.C., and even in some statewide politics, they are fighting for gun rights for all, folks. And I want people to understand that. I think that a lot of times there's always this knee-jerk reaction to call for a ban on guns, but I think there are some responsible solutions out here that we could look at that could improve the safety for everyone, including dealing with the mental health aspect that I feel like there's been a bipartisan letdown from our elected officials in the ways we deal with mental health. There's a lot of cases, a lot of things could be avoided with the proper help, proper medication, proper health plans for people who suffer from mental illness. And, it's unfortunate the only time we seem to want to address this is when these kind of tragedies happen. The same way we want to address gun bans, Republicans at that point to talk about mental health. And I think that in general, Republicans and Democrats have not done a good job of that because, from a voting standpoint, that's not a large voting block. And I don't think that neither side has done enough to protect our most vulnerable in this country. And in this situation, you had a young man that was troubled. You had a young man that warnings were made all the way up to the FBI that were ignored. And I think that is something we got to look at. The president made a tweet basically saying that the FBI has been so busy investigating, Trump and his supposed collusion with Russia that they weren't there to do the basics, like take these tips and act on things that could have possibly prevented this tragedy. So we're going to talk about that and see what people think. I'm curious to know what my listeners are thinking here. Is this simply a case of a gun? Or do you think that a gun ban? Do you think if we just said, okay, these guns aren't available anymore, we're not going to sell them on the market, do you think that would make a difference? I don't think that would stop most of these tragedies that have happened, but it would definitely make it harder for people to own these guns or even have these guns stolen from them. But I don't think that is going to be the realistic expectation. And that's an issue a lot of people deal with in terms of why does one person's misdeeds have to affect all the gun, law-abiding citizens? And I think that's something President Trump has taken some steps to ban. He's taken some steps to ban bump stocks, devices that allow semi-automatic weapons to be modified to shoot hundreds of rounds per minute. I don't think that I have a problem with that. I mean, most of these AR-15s and AK-47s, those are not guns that are meant, that people say, I might want to hunt or whatever. You don't hunt with those kind of guns. Am I suggesting that they need to ban them? No, because, that's like saying we should ban cars that go over 80 miles an hour. When you buy that Corvette or Ferrari, it's going to go over 100 miles an hour. It's about individual choices.
This one,
it's individual choice.
Not to cut you off, though. But
yeah, you want to jump in here. Go ahead.
Because for one thing, I'm not truly understanding is that how can a 19-year-old, we talk about we ain't talk about no 21 or 25, we'll talk about a 19-year-old that's still, you know what I'm saying, close to
legal age is 18 in Florida to buy a gun.
Wow.
Hey, listen, legal age in Michigan to buy a rifle is 18. To buy a handgun, to carry a concealed weapon is 21. But to buy a rifle, you can go to Kmart, and if you're over 18, you can go to Walmart. You can go to any of these places and buy a rifle.
Oh yeah, well we got to change those gun laws. We got to change those.
You have to understand, most people that go into a store, buy a gun, and have it registered to them aren't the people that are going to be doing these crimes. 9 out of 10 times, this gentleman here had a mental illness, and the schools wouldn't allow him to come to school with a book bag. He had been banned. He had been called, had been made, but people ignored that. And I think that is something people are going to look at. I don't know if there's any law that you can make when someone wants to destroy and cause death and destruction. There's no law that's going to prevent them from doing that. That's what they're choosing to do.
So what was his motive? Why did he do that? What was his purpose of attacking?
They said he had a messed up childhood. He was bullied at times, but the thing was he had become aggressive to the point he was an outcast. He didn't have a lot of friends. The lone wolf kind of guy. I mean, this is not – the thing is, at every high school in America, there are kids that would be considered the lone wolf, the guy with no friends, the loner, quiet, eats by himself, the whole nine. But we need to understand what's making these kids tick that makes them take it to a violent stage. Because there's slow bloomers and kids that are the oddball or strange and don't hang out with the other kids at every school in America. And this doesn't happen anywhere, and in particular in urban areas, you don't have mass shootings in school. But let's frame this differently. And this is what I've always said about you could solidify this at every school in America if you simply had an armed guard, if you had a police officer. I mean, they've been having fights out in Southfield in the last week. Kids stomping each other out. My daughter goes, I've seen this type of stuff, right? And so their biggest complaint is there's no supervision. There's no law enforcement there.
So why
would never be a mass shooting anywhere where you have.
So if anything, why wouldn't you? That's why I'm like, things have really changed when I was growing up in high school. That's why I'm like,
it's not for me. I went to Mumford. We had metal detectors and armed police at our school. This is in the 90s. So, you never have these kind of situations. You never had a mass shooting at the DPS school. You know why? One, you can't get into the school like that. And two, there's police there. There's a reason why you never have mass shootings at shooting ranges.
And then on top of that, as soon as you walk through the door, it's going to be metal detectors. So if you have anything or try to walk into the school, you're not going to get that far.
Those are the precautions that I think that the majority of schools in America And to me, it would be, if you don't want to put metal detectors in there, why not just have a police officer that is on duty in particular at every high school? Why not every school? There's enough retired veterans. We can create a federal program. There's enough retired veterans out here that need jobs that we could post them at every school in America and make them and have them be a lot safer.
And then my thing is, like you said,
and teachers, if they want to, should be allowed to consider and having a handgun as well.
Right. And then I just want to say how you said that he was being bullied or whatnot. My thing is,
well, that's an excuse.
But I mean, yeah, I was going to say at the end of the day, that's an excuse. And my thing is, if you're being bullied, you telling me you can't talk to nobody. There's nobody. No. There's nobody in school. Not the counselor. Not the principal. Not nobody. There's nobody you can go to talk to anybody about you being bullied. But instead of doing that, you want to build up all this anger and frustration and get you an AR-15 and just let your anger out.
You're thinking from the mind of a person that has no mental illness. And that's what a lot of people, we can't understand.
Mental illness? That's his excuse?
Well, you can't be saying to do what he did. Let's just be clear. You cannot be of a sane mind.
He knew what he was doing.
You can know what you're doing and not have a sane mind.
And then on top of that, he tried to play it off.
Well,
so
he's trying to plead guilty to avoid the death penalty, which shows you that he's totally cognitive.
He knew exactly what he's doing. Because then at the end of it, when all the kids was walking out with their hands up, he was the man. He did the same thing, trying to walk out like he was in it.
It doesn't matter that he did. I mean, I understand what
mental illness. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I think he should still be.
That's an excuse. I don't believe it.
I still think he should be eligible for the death penalty for that, but we'll see what happens. He's asking for life. He's willing to plead guilty to everything. A lot of prosecutors. The thinking behind this is that you won't have to have the students come in and relive that testimony again through witnessing. You won't have to have the teachers. You won't have to have people say, I watched my friend die right in front of me. I saw somebody get shot. Just like sometimes what happens in rape trials, the same thing. You don't want to have to make witnesses have to relive a traumatizing experience. But we're going to go to our first caller who's been waiting for a moment. Let's go to Harry, who's on the line. Harry, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
All right.
Great. I wanted to comment on the memo thing, but
what memo?
Definitely, the whole FBI business. But I mean, regarding the gun control, I think I'm really kind of surprised that the media, including your station, is refusing to mention what I think is the most important thing in the whole shooting thing. In all of these shooting things, these kids are on antidepressants. And these antidepressants have been known and proven to cause hallucinations in grown people. And some kind of way, a 19-year-old that put pictures with hand grenades up on the internet was able to own a gun and see somebody that called themselves a therapist that wrote them a prescription for psychotropic antidepressants. And, there's a whole lot of stuff that we need to do before we take Granddaddy's shotgun away.
Right. No question about it.
Okay.
No question about it.
Okay, but then jump into the FBI business. Mm-hmm. I didn't know which was the most exciting the last couple of weeks, watching the Olympics or watching the Democrats do backflips on how they feel about the FBI. I grew up in a house with, raised Democrat all my life and grew up listening to stories about COINTELPRO,
right.
The real Panther story, how the FBI came between Eldridge Cleaver and Huey Newton and, in effect, tore the real Panther Party
using confidential informants and undermining their whole leadership structure. Yep.
Yeah, and not no cartoon, and it wasn't in Marvel. And, so I'm growing up like all this, but then in the past week, just because, a Republican-led committee of Congress points out some wrongdoing, all of a sudden everybody is like saying that how much respect. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we should all respect the FBI, but when people do wrong, they should be punished. Because if that doesn't happen, what kind of world are we living for, our kids where, people can just do whatever they want, What are they going to expect? What are they going? And they're not stupid, and they see this. I mean, what kind of world are they going to have?
Right.
It's I don't understand how Democrats can just flip back and forth. It is a
Well,
chance.
I mean, they've proven that all of this is all about political convenience, okay? You have this whole Russia collusion investigation. That's been pretty much proven that did not happen. We're not saying that Russia didn't interfere in the elections. And I think that the bigger story with Russia has been that they purposely interfered and meddled on both sides of the aisle to make us as Americans, all Americans, doubt the integrity of our voting system. At the heart of what America is, they went into meddle and to make people doubt whoever the winner would have been. Okay?
You're I'm sorry to be so critical, sir, and I love your show, but you are again missing the point. You're going soft. The whole Russian thing was created to create a fiction for the source of the DNC hacks.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Kim.com and Julian Assange swear that they have evidence that would prove that those hacks came from inside the DNC from Seth Rich, who was subsequently shot in the back of the head. And the whole Russian thing came to cover about how the DNC leaks came out, that the illegal emails were destroyed and all those felonies happening within the DNC. This was all to cover
I mean,
that.
listen, I'm not going to say that they didn't hack into the DNC. I think Russia, because of what we did in their elections in the past, that their goal was to cause doubt. They know that their meddling didn't cause Donald Trump to win, but I believe that this was all part of a way to attack our democracy in general. Because there's no collusion. Okay, there is no collusion.
Okay, well, if you don't believe what I said about the DNC hack being internal, I mean, I can't.
No, I'm not trying. What I'm saying is that wasn't the only.
Russia. It wasn't Russia. It was a DNC staffer.
That was the information from
the emails.
I'm talking about overall. I'm talking about now when we start talking about the use of social media and the.
Okay, those ads were bought after the election. That's what I'm saying. This is a smoke screen. Those ads.
So you don't think as a fact, you don't think that Russia at all was meddling in our elections, even though all the evidence is out there on. I mean, this is not a partisan issue.
The indictments. If you want to go through it fact by fact, the indictments contain no information with any link to the Russian government or any official in the Russian government. There were 13 people that came in on visas under the Obama administration and were trolls, essentially internet trolls.
Right.
And that's what the indictments were. So you can't talk to me about proof because there's not even an indictment. If you want to accept an indictment as proof, which it's not, it would have to be a conviction that would be proof. But even if you want to take an indictment as proof, there is no link in the indictment. So everybody is just going off the deep end on all this.
Well, like I said, I don't consider it going off the deep end. I mean, I'm just looking at it from the fact that we know they tried to interfere, and it wasn't to help one candidate or the other.
What do we know? That
they were paying for these ads. No. That they were organizing rallies, anti-Trump rallies, and they were also Russian operatives that are into politics.
Russian operatives?
Yes.
What does an operative mean?
So, I mean, obviously, what do you only believe that this is all created by the DNC? Am I getting that right here? Like all this whole thing. Russia never has interfered in any of our elections. Is that what you're telling me?
And the classic, and I'll let you go on this because I'm definitely not trying to annoy you. The classic response at the end of a discussion like this is for you to ask me to prove a negative. No,
I'm not.
I have no way of proving that didn't happen. There is no way to prove a negative at all. And so, you have me at that one.
No,
but
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you that's a lot of this originated from the DNC. But what I'm saying is after they recognized the weakness, they continue to pick at us in a way that now, a year later, we're still questioning the election results and how they were involved.
It's awesome that we're talking about the Russian hack instead of the subject of the emails that were released that showed that the DNC was
well now
its own candidate, the candidate that won our state, Michigan, I'm in Michigan. The candidate, the one Michigan, was backstabbed by the DNC, and that was in the emails. But nobody wants to talk about that. We want to talk about 13 Russian trolls and what that means. So I mean, it's good, man. But the information's out there. But I'm saying there's no reason to go soft.
All right.
The truth is very interesting.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you, Harry, for calling in, man. I appreciate you listening to the show today. All right. We're going to go to a break here on the Wayne Bradley Show. We'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Russian investigation. We're going to talk about guns. We're going to talk about Black Panther, the movie. Now when people starting to talk to me too much, I want to just bark at them. That influenced me, man. That movie touched me. I already seen it twice, man. We'll be back to talk about it a little bit more here on the Wayne Bradley Show, live on 910 AM, your superstation, the future of radio.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Home, life, and auto. Claims that are unfortunately routinely denied by insurance companies. Since 1996, I have successfully represented thousands of victims whose insurance claims were denied. If I can be of service to you, call me, Attorney Carl Collins III.
We've got Chad live and good on the line from Crane's Detroit Business. Chad, what's going on in the business world this week?
I've got a cover story today about traffic trends at the bridge in Detroit and also Port Huron, our international crossings, as we're preparing as a region to build this new bridge. The projections that were always used to justify construction of this bridge have not held up. Back in 2010, when Governor Granholm was still in office and was still pushing to try to get a vote on the legislature on authorizing construction of the bridge. This is before Governor Snyder took over this project. So we're kind of at a critical juncture now in this planning for this Gordie Howe Bridge. The bids are due in May. The consortium of companies that are competing to build, design, and finance the construction of the bridge are in line to try to have a deal in place by next September.
910 AM Superstation, the future of radio.
We want freedom now.
Now is the time.
Freedom is something that you have to do for yourself.
We've seen that it's possible to overcome.
We people will get to the promised land.
Yes, we can.
Black History Month.
Black History Month. Yeah.
You better learn about it.
Crack a book open. Get your learn on one time. Learn about your history, people, especially for the kids. Y'all need to know where y'all came from so y'all know where y'all going.
910 AM Superstation has arrived, and we're here to stay.
Are we on the air?
All weekend. The best in the city.
910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Yeah.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show. Interesting conversation with my friend Harry calling in. Thanks, I appreciate that. It's a lot of different perspectives here, and I do believe what Harry's saying is true, that a lot of the real initial investigations and hacking and all this came from the DNC not playing fair, and they got beat at their own game. All right, so we're going to go to Martin, who's been waiting on the line. Martin, thanks for calling in.
How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I wanted to bring up a couple of topics. First, what a shame about Cliff. I pray for him and his, his direct family. Just to, you don't know from day to day. I just say, if you have someone and you care for them, tell them you love them. Because if you don't, you might not see them tomorrow or maybe 5 minutes from now. But, I was kind of on page a little bit with the last caller with the Democrat collision. I mean, it would be cool if you could break out some of the memos that were exposed by WikiLeaks to read about how Democrats talked about blacks, Jews, and Hispanic. And read, I think the Democrats are only mad because what was exposed by the hacking of the emails.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's insane. The Democrats worked in part in colluding the presidential primary election, but that is just overlooked by everyone. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe any of this nonsense with the Russia until I see some action going on with the Democratic Party. Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned at the Democratic National Convention because of the collusion. Okay, I watched it. I was there in person. Okay, I was there watching that nonsense. But look, now I got to come up. I got to say something.
Go ahead.
I was listening to Bullet this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
and I heard a caller call, and she might call your show. She tried to throw this nonsense on Bangalay's show,
mm-hmm.
and she's actually alluding that Tim and Walter were taking a part in Cliff's death. I don't know if you were hearing about that. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I thought you were about to call them Russian spies or something. No.
No.
Somebody called in. Somebody called in the Bullock show and blamed Walter.
Yes, and Tim, because of the stress they put him under, that they were took a part in his death, and then she was also throwing out some guy and pitching some medicine that you could live 250 years. And I'm thinking this is another Democrat loon job. Are you kidding me? And how could the host allow anyone to call with that kind of rhetoric?
Yeah,
I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, and it did happen. I was listening. I couldn't even believe that I was hearing. And then she called up and tried to throw the same nonsense, but Bangalay was on one of his rants, as he usually blockades people and filibusters them.
Interesting.
So
well, I hope that person doesn't call my show, because I would have to set them straight on that. And one thing is just that we should not be including, respecting one in when they're passing and invoking that on a radio show. Really shows a total lack of class, and I don't know who that was that did that. But if you call in on my show, you're not getting any airtime on here with that, because
I would love to hear someone with sense actually confront her with such kind of rhetoric. But look at I'm from California.
And obviously your topic here must have perked the ears of our station manager, who must have to add something to this. Dodie Johnson is in the building right now.
So, hi, how are you? You know what? I have to say that it was offhanded and it was very bizarre. But she did allude to that. I'm not going, I'm not taking nobody's side on that.
But she didn't allude it. She said it.
Well,
she didn't allude.
Okay.
She said it.
You gonna let me talk, or you gonna talk? We both can't talk at the same time. So allow me. No, it's not my show, but please allow me the courtesy that I've let you have. And what she said was that the arguing, the bickering and the arguing and the debating and all that, which this is talk radio, so that happens.
Right.
And what she said was that in her estimation or whatever, she feels that that's what caused this to happen. That had nothing to do with it. So we need to put that out there. Yeah. That had nothing to do with it. His family doesn't even need to be concerned with that.
That shouldn't even
and it
be.
has nothing to do with it. And what we do, so that everybody listening knows, is that this is an open forum for each and every caller. But if you get too far out of line, we will.
Yeah, I mean,
we will take your privileges away, because that wasn't right. Yeah. And out of respect, that was not good. Out of respect, that was not good. So you have every right, sir, to be offended by that, because I'm trying to use the proper language here as I'm talking. I have to be politically correct. Maybe you don't, but that is what she alluded to. She pretty much kind of said that. And that's, they were arguing, and I believe that's what caused. No, that has nothing to do with it.
I don't understand why, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't understand why a caller would call in and have that discussion. And we want to honor his memory. That's
Absolutely.
one thing.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, invoking and blaming other people.
Yeah, that was,
callers,
and it was inappropriate.
Yeah, in particular callers that we can all hang up on,
right?
If it gets too heavy,
or we can block you from calling. We'll put you on a block. We'll block you.
I know that.
Right,
and
so,
it's just a shame. I missed Cliff. I used to listen to the basketball games he called. It was great, and I didn't agree with him like one iota with nothing.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with it. Right.
We're going to probably
voice in his wisdom to the opposition, in my opinion.
Right. Absolutely. So, just out of respect, we want to kind of table that one. That was not a good one. I know when I first heard it, I got up and walked down here and was looking like, really? Yeah. And so, some people are not the best at how they
express themselves. And that's just being messy.
But this was not the time for that. Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. So continue with your call. Thank you for being a loyal listener. We appreciate it.
I love the station, and thank you kindly for allowing me to have a voice.
No problem.
Thank you, Dodie, for joining us to clear that up. Thanks.
Mr. When I went to school in California, we had 4 police officers there. There were the minimum of 2 police officers, plainclothes police officers at all times at our school. Mm-hmm. There was 2 entrances into the school, from the gate or from the front door.
Right.
Or you couldn't get in. You'd have to climb a pretty big fence to get in. But I'm just saying, I'm actually in favor for this. I don't necessarily in favor of arming teachers, because this takes tactical training to learn.
Well, yeah, they would definitely have to be a proper training on that. But I mean, you could literally put police officers, or if you don't have police officers, you have a small town or something like that, then there ought to be some retired veterans program or something you can do.
Keep this in mind. There are a lot of airplane pilots and commercial airline pilots that are on some of those same drugs that some of these other people are on. Right. So just food for thought. It's the same deal, but
fair enough.
I'm just this gun argument. Obviously, these kids have been turned into a Democratic political pawn. As I could see, some of them look like they're reading scripts. One of them's dad was with the FBI. And then if you look, he was on another news thing in California, strangely enough, on another thing. And so, of course, people are now coming out that he's a crisis actor, but you can definitely look and see it's the same kid. It's the same kid. And I'm just saying, we have we hear Democrats, God bless these kids, but holy moly, we can't say God or anything close to it in a school. Okay? The hypocrisy has gone wild. Our country has an erosion of everything imaginable and conscionable in this country. It's an erosion. Guns were a lot easier to get in the 50s and the 60s.
And you didn't have all these problems.
This kind of mass nut job stuff going on with murder.
Well, I think that one of the callers mentioned earlier some of this medication that we're actually giving the kids. And how is that really helping them, or is it causing some of these problems that we're having now? But hey, Martin, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate you calling in. All right, we got to go to Miss Marcia, who's on the line. Miss Marcia is calling in.
Oh, dear. Thank you for taking my call. Can't breathe in.
Thank you, Miss Marcia. I can hear you.
Thank you, dear. You know what? Jody was right. I heard that young lady say that, too. She alluded to that. She did.
That's absolutely no class. You know what? And I'm not going to, I don't want to continue to hype that person up, because that, to me, does not deserve
Well, I hope she realized that she did say that and alluded to that, and and changed it. Maybe she could be very innocent.
Right.
But anyway,
I don't think trying to add anyone to in what I would consider a sad situation.
Because he can handle himself.
Exactly. He's been in a lot tougher. He's been in a lot tougher situations than hosting a radio show.
Oh yeah, he was on Let It Rip and all of that. He could hold his own. He could give you a good argument.
He was the press secretary. He was the press secretary for the mayor of Detroit. The man.
Absolutely.
Had a lot more stressful things.
That man had a brilliant brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to say about the gun. The inventor of the gun, his grandchildren said he never meant for that gun to be anything other than for the military.
The AR-15.
Yes, he said it just for the military. So that shouldn't have never. That should
Well, this is the argument I would make for you then, Miss Marcia. Should a sports car that goes 140 miles per hour, should that only be allowed on the racetrack?
No.
Well, why not? That's not meant for civilian transportation. If it's going 150 or 160 miles per hour, up to 200 miles on the speedometer.
But see, that's
a
not
personal
a gun.
choice.
That's not an automatic weapon. I think that's not a real good comparison.
I do. I think it's about the personal responsibility, because you could take a car and kill just as many people, and more people die every year in cars than they do in being shot.
Yeah, but we could put some spikes down and stop that. But somebody with a dangerous mind. I mean, all the lights. You know, the light. He was taking antipsychotic drugs.
I agree. That's something that we need to look at.
Yeah, they missed that spot. Then one of his friends called the FBI and told them about the boy.
And they still didn't get to it.
And they missed that. And the fact that you are 19 years old and you can legally go buy that gun. And he's 19 and he cannot go into a bar and order a drink.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to buy that gun when you can't even. You're not old enough to go to a bar and have a drink.
He was old enough to purchase the rifle. I think people.
Yes, he was. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, he was in his legal thing. Now, let me say about these Russians.
Mm-hmm.
13 trolls on the internet, and this was a computer company just making money. And, you know, they look like Trump is really innocent.
I'm glad you see what I'm saying, Miss. That's what he said, too. But see, now the problem I have now is that they see that there's no collusion, so now they're going to everything else he's ever done in life trying to get him in trouble. And that's what the feds, by nature, that's what government investigations do. If they can't get you on this, let's look at this application for a mortgage you applied for 20 years ago.
They lied, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just anything at this point.
I mean, we want the big finish. We want Trump. Yep. And they haven't been able to deliver him.
Because he didn't do anything wrong, Miss Marcia. Only thing he did was win.
He hasn't done anything.
Only thing he did was win.
A bunch of fabrication. We know he ain't no good. We know he a womanizer. We know he's a crook. We know he's
those are your assumptions.
He's a businessman. That's who America was, a bunch of mafia. What do they get upset about mafia? America always have been run by the mafia. Come on.
All right, Miss Marcia. All right.
Read your history.
Now, you make me feel good. Thank you for calling in, my favorite socialist calling today, and clearing Donald Trump of collusion. You know he's got to be innocent.
Medicare for all.
One day, Miss Marcia. Thank you so much for calling in. All right, I got to go to my homeboy calling in, checking in from Florida. I haven't seen him in a while. I hadn't heard from him. Let's bring Mel on the show.
Who in the world gave you a radio station, man? That is dangerous.
Oh, man, I'm back, man. They kicked me off for a while. I'm back on the air now. So, yes, man, in Detroit, prime time in the evening, doing radio, man. Yeah, it could get real dangerous around here, man.
Bruh, it is so dangerous to have you on the radio giving so much education and knowledge to people. We ain't got to be stuck with listening to Tom Joyner, Michael Bays, and all those same rejects telling us the same garbage.
Yes,
but, hey, bro, listen, I don't know if you know or not, I work in the education system.
Okay.
And I work down here in Florida in the education system.
Wow.
So that shooting has blown the mind of everybody in the state. So it's one of the things that I'm really disappointed with the politicization of what happened, because we have people now talking about, well, we don't need prayers, we need this and that. And it's almost like they're making people feel guilty for saying pray for.
Yeah, I know. I saw people like taunting, saying, "We'll keep your thoughts and your prayers." I'm like, well, come on now. Like, are we getting to that point now where you can't say your thoughts and prayers or with the people that have been affected by this?
Well, it's a disgusting narrative, man, and it's one perpetuated by we know who's doing it, and it's just this is a tool to use to get rid of God in the school system. But that's not why I called, brother. I called because, I want to apply the logic of the situation to illegal immigration.
Okay.
Now, we have long been saying illegal aliens have been doing this and doing this and doing this. That's why we need to have tougher border security.
Right.
But we are often ignored. So if there was some way to apply that logic in this tragedy, and I'm not saying politicizing a tragedy, but if you say a gun, we need to ban guns because one idiot, and he's a coward for what he did, decided to pick up a gun and target and kill kids, why do we not say, well, we have so many illegal aliens who have committed deaths because of drunk driving, or you have it? Why is that it's heartless for us to say we need tougher laws on our border?
Right. Well, it seems to me, and this is, I think, both sides and politics in general, there's always knee-jerk reactions to tragedies.
Yes. Yep.
And it doesn't matter really what the incident is. It's a knee-jerk on each side. Guns, any gun tragedy, you're going to have all these leftists and all these Democrats yelling for banning all the guns. It's not like, I think today Trump said he was willing to look into the bump stock and getting rid of that, which to me, the average person that's using a gun doesn't have this stuff anyway.
No, they don't. And it wasn't something that they used, and I don't know if that was something they used in that shooting. As a teacher, I am all for arming teachers on certain conditions. Number one, that every hallway, I believe, should have one teacher that is accessible. Two, the teacher who's accessible should be recognized by the faculty and staff so everyone knows it. Three, that teacher gets paid more for what they do. And then four, we just make sure that teacher has yearly training. Right. So as a teacher, I will publicly say I am okay with arming teachers in the public schools because something has to be done. That kid was shooting for 3 minutes.
Right.
And all it took was 30 seconds for a teacher to get a gun, run outside, take care of this coward, because that's what he is.
I agree, man. Hey, Mel, I appreciate you calling in, brother. We haven't talked or chatted anything in a while, man, but it looks like you're doing good down there in that warm weather and beautiful family and all, man. I'm glad we got back linked up, man. Thanks for calling in.
Hey,
man.
you can keep the snow, bro. I love it. I'll take the sunshine.
I ain't mad at you, man. Have a good day, man. Be blessed. All right, man. Let's go to JJ, who's been waiting on the line. JJ, thanks for calling in.
Hey, Wayne, how you doing, brother?
All right, how you doing?
Good. Hey, I want to follow up what that fella just said. How about we fool the devil? We'll get prayer back in school, but we won't call it prayer. We'll call it the teacher's creed. Okay, the teacher, the rabbi. All right? The teacher says I should honor my mother and my father unless they don't agree with the teacher. The teacher says I should be nice to my classmates, be thoughtful, kind, not bully them. The teacher says I should not take my classmates' school supplies or take any other of their supplies or anything else, or tennis shoes or anything else, because the teacher says. And have, from kindergarten up, it's a condition of the heart, If the teacher says, okay, I should honor my parent, and no parent should object to that. If a parent objects to a teacher's creed,
right?
Okay, that parent should have their head examined. If the teacher says I should honor my parents, okay, unless they don't listen to the teacher, the school teacher, that kid has no business being in school. And the second thing I wanted to talk about, what the first guy talked about with the FBI, he was alluding to that the FBI. You're very naive. Anybody's naive if you think the FBI is going to tell us 100% of the truth.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Right. Yeah. And that's what he was alluding to, that, where are we at when the FBI, the 30,000 emails were bleach washed and they didn't see those? Okay. And the other thing about the gun thing, also, I thought about this a long time ago, because when I got out of the service in 75, I bought my first pistol and rifle. I went hunting. Okay. I was used to shooting, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I seen the M16 on the wall, but the guy told me it was an AR-15. The thing is that gun, they've been selling that to the public for 40 plus years. What there should be is how about a co-signer? If you're under 25 years old You need a parent to co-sign for a weapon like that.
Under 25, but what does your parent do with you at when you're over 18 years old?
Heck, dude, the kids are staying in the house till they're 25 years old, right? They're in the house.
I guess that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
You're on your parents' insurance, because that kid would have never been able to buy the gun, right? He didn't really have any parents, right? His parents died. But then again, I think I heard that guy say that he knew he had the gun because he bought a gun safe and it was locked in the safe.
Right.
So
interesting.
That's a tough question, but I think it's a condition of the heart, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's where this is where all this stuff starts at, JJ. There's no question about that, man. A condition of the heart, and what we're doing to deal with the folks that are calling out for help. Or now, are we ignoring those folks too as well? So, hey, JJ,
right. And that kid, like the first guy said, he was on a depressant drug, man. If you look at the side effects of the depressant drug, it says
it can make you worse. It can make you a lot worse.
Makes you more depressed, and you have thoughts of suicide. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, man.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you calling in, JJ. All right, let's go to Anthony, who's been waiting on the line. Anthony, thanks for calling in.
Man, I'm missing the Michigan State game.
How are we looking, man? How are we looking at the game right now?
Well, we up. Okay. By a couple of points. We can be better. We up 4.
Man,
all right.
Go ahead, brother. Drop the
I had to call in. I thought you were calling halftime, but no, I got to call in.
So you couldn't wait.
One of the best tweets I read was the same people that said 13 and 14-year-olds were perfectly mature enough to date Roy Moore are now saying that 17 and 18-year-olds are too immature to have opinions on gun control. Think about that.
I cannot take anything with the Roy Moore crowd because anybody that was supporting that was a little bit off. But I do think that now you have a bunch of motivated, with the use of social media and the things that are going on now, kids can move a lot quicker. And I think that the politicians, they're not catching that wave and not understanding that these kids have a mind of their own. And if they were involved or saw that shooting or lost a friend, they have every right to be passionate about that. There's no question about it.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. But here's the thing.
Well, listen,
let's stop going back and forth about which side goes to what corner, and you go to that corner, I go to that corner.
Mm-hmm.
People who saying gun control, I'm not saying take all your guns away, but you guys like to say all the time, "Oh, they're trying to take guns away. We want to protect our family."
Well, this is the thing. There's a slippery slope with the government.
We're saying, let me help you out with this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be clear with this.
All right.
We're saying military-style weapons shouldn't be on the street.
Okay.
Period. That can kill. How many rounds can that AR-15, whatever it's called?
A couple hundred. It holds about 100 rounds.
Okay. Why do we need that on the streets? Why do you need that to hunt? Why do you need that to protect your family?
Well, at this point now, I think the argument would be that the criminals have them.
Okay, you're not. How many times you go to battle with a criminal? Stop it.
I mean, if they come into your house, if they try to break into your house.
What are you doing for a criminal to come in with an assault rifle? What are you doing with your life?
That might be a fair question. I mean, you could be you could be a defense lawyer, though. You could be anything, legitimate person. And if you own a grocery store, there's a lot of gentlemen in the southeast Michigan area that own liquor stores, and they're in Detroit, and then they come back home to their homes in Sterling Heights, and you have people that try to kidnap them and take all their money. You don't think they should be able to protect themselves to the fullest of their ability?
I think they can have a gun, but I don't think anybody should have an assault rifle.
What's an assault rifle? I don't even like that term. Why is anything that's big and black they got to label it as assault
that military
rifle?
use, you shouldn't be on the street. How about that? Is that a little bit more clear for you guys?
Okay, because it's just a rifle.
Used by the military shouldn't be on the street.
Okay.
Period.
All right. Well, that's a fair request to debate. And I don't know if I agree with it, but that's a fair request to debate.
Okay. So, like both sides, like mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, mental health is very important, but here's what we got to do.
Right.
We have to extend background checks on this point.
Mm-hmm.
Social media and that digital thumbprint has to be scrubbed before you can get a gun.
Okay.
Period. If you're talking about anything
so now you're talking about you're going to give people rights to go through your social media.
Exactly.
Oh,
because you know why?
I couldn't trust the government like that.
How many kids got to die for this? For your right to to post on social media about how you hate or you, like, for instance, I'm going to give you a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody that's saying on social media how they want to kill Trump,
mm-hmm.
and they go out and buy a military-style weapon, I don't think that person should be allowed to do that.
Well, I mean, if you make a threat against the president on social media, you're probably going to get a visit.
How about the governor? How about anybody? How about any Republican, period? Shouldn't that person not be allowed to buy a military-style weapon?
That's an interesting question. I just want to know how they're going to do that, this digital fingerprint or whatever, thumbprint, and how evasive would that be? I think if you have some real clear red flags, I don't trust the government, going into my business like that or any other private citizen. I think if you're willing to give your fingerprint, if you're willing to give your fingerprint, and if you're willing to give your driver's license, that seems to be enough to me. And let's just take it a step further, Anthony. I don't even know if having to go through a licensing process is constitutional. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, this has all been man-made to create fees and to create money off the private citizen. A man should be able to protect himself, and I don't know if I would want to give the government permission to go through all my digital and social media. Because what if it's someone that's
if you have a history of making threats, of hating a certain type of people, and I gave you the good example. I said, what if they hate Republicans? What if they hate conservatives? And they saying they want
now you're talking about infringing on people's freedom of speech. You can say you hate someone.
Well, what I'm saying, no, I'm not talking about doing harm to them. I'm talking about speaking like I want to do harm to Republicans, right?
Right.
But wouldn't you want that person being, it's a red flag, see something, say something?
I think that if there was some kind of self-reporting system, or if there was something that allowed concerned citizens to make these kind of pings, then I'm all for it. But allowing the government to do it themselves, I just don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I think that
how do you work for people that want to work for the government, yet you distrust the government?
Because the people I work for want to limit government, okay, Anthony? There's a difference between that. We want to limit the power of government. We want to limit the power.
Because if you trust the people, the older you get, the more stupid.
You went in and out there, man. I don't know, you're moving around too. I didn't hear you right there. You said something about the older you get, what?
The older you get, the more stupid you realize people are in this country and in this world, period. So, you think the founding fathers trust these idiots coming over here and taking over, making the best decisions for the whole country? No. You have to have rules and regulations to make sure people follow them to have order in a society.
Right.
What is wrong with this?
Tell me this, Anthony. What society had strong borders, no refugees, and they put their country first? Wakanda. I got you with that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I got you, man. I got you with that one, man. Listen, I agree with you. I think there is an intelligent debate that can be had about the amount of guns that are on the market and all these different things. But I think that the real problem becomes when you start injecting government into being able to go into your social media. I think if you had private citizens to do it.
Real quick, I know you got to go. Let's start retreating to our corners and talking points. Stop. Just have a listen to each other, because we both can come up with a really good solution where everybody who are gun lovers can keep their guns, and everybody that doesn't want their schools shot up by military-style weapons will be happy if we get rid of those. So it's a possibility. You always have access to military-style weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in this country with that. So
that's why there's no point in banning them, Anthony. But we're going to talk about that some more, my friend. Thank you for calling in. Go Green.
All right.
All right, brother. All right, you're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some more about these allegations, these guns, what we're going to do here in America moving forward. I'm going to try to play some of Cliff Russell's interview with me when we come back as well. I'm going to go through these last few questions, and then we're going to ride out the rest of the hour with the interview with Cliff Russell. So keep listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 a.m. your Superstation.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Sundays on 910 a.m. Superstation is a collection of personalities like none other. Different names, different voices, but the same energy.
Arise and shine, for your light is come.
This is Elena Herrera.
Good morning, this is Robert Furtado.
The Final Call Hour with Troy Muhammad on 910 a.m.
I'm Margaret Trimmer Hartley, broadcasting from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m.
Hello, this is Angela Moore. Please join me from 3 to 5 p.m.
Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek from 5 to 7 p.m.
Listen to your girl, Princess Leah, on the Leah Live Show.
Detroit, this is Michael M. Hotel, the African History Network show.
This Pastor Mo, a.k.a. the Street Preacher, a.k.a. the Street Sweeper, from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina, and join me every day from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. for Sizzle and Talk.
It's right here on 910 a.m. Superstation. We are the future of radio. It's the new show that everybody's talking about for all the wrong reasons.
You know what? The news media wouldn't have any ratings if it wasn't for Trump. They wouldn't be making any money. So Trump's the best thing that ever happened for the news. It's all fake news and real news.
Catch 910 a.m. Superstation Uncut, airing every Saturday night at 1 a.m. on WADL Detroit. You'll see the comedy.
Because I think sometimes we build all this energy up into the new year. And then maybe within the first 20 days, we fizzle. We fizzle out. We're done. We're not excited anymore.
The off-the-chain opinions.
There's really a lot to consider here because we have rich living with poor, more and more. We have talk about the tale of two cities.
Tune into the hottest news show in late nights. It's 910 a.m. Superstation Uncut, and it's only on WADL Detroit. .910 a.m. Superstation is the voice of Detroit and the talk of the town. Weekdays, weeknights, weekends, and everything in between. If you want national topics, we have it.
Is this DACA challenge that the president has presented? He rolled back the...
Well, he hasn't done it yet. Anybody who says that they know what he's going to do before it happens is making a mistake.
Local discussions. We have that too.
You know, the Pistons, the Red Wings, those arenas, they were made for people primarily in the suburbs, I think, coming in.
Entertainment and relationships? Listen up. And if you thought we were restricted to only the radio, think again. You can hear all of this on 910 a.m. as well as on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube Live, YouTube Red, and Facebook Live. That's right. Download the 910 a.m. Superstation app in the Apple, Android, or Windows App Store today and stay connected to the best station in town. 910 a.m. Superstation has arrived, and we're here to stay. We've got the topics, the guests, the opinions, and the facts.
And I do believe, Dr. Vita, you are with us. Well, you have the snow days phenomenon up here, and we don't just do snow days, we do cold days here in this region. How does that feel?
It's different. I mean, I'm used to dealing with hurricanes and general weather days. What we are trying to do is create a culture where we offer school and try to create a rhythm and cadence to attending school so we don't disrupt that to create a situation where students become used to not going to school or finding excuses not to go to school, but at the same time you have to be sensitive of the fact that it's too cold and we don't want children outside to where they can become ill or stranded outside because of bus transportation or being too far away from a school.
910 a.m. Superstation. We are the future of radio. 910 a.m. Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 a.m. the Superstation.
910 a.m.
910 a.m. On 910 a.m. Superstation.
910 a.m. Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation. The most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
Listen live now.
The number one station, period.
And on that note, let's get back to the program.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation, the future of radio. Glad to be back. It's been a while since we've been on the air. We've been talking about the tragedy that happened in Florida and some of the solutions that are being going back and forth. The president is actually taking some executive action himself to ban bump stocks with these guns. So I think that is a step in the right direction, I guess. All right, so you got some folks that have been holding on for a minute here, so we're going to go to Chris first. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good. I have a comment, then I have a question.
Go ahead.
The first comment is, let us not forget about the gentleman in Texas who thwarted that church massacre and his weapon of choice, which was a conscious decision, and why.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is the question as to why did the FBI just quickly admit that this kid was on their radar?
You know, I don't know. It's interesting to me. Well, I think because that there were people that publicly had said, hey, we tried to call and warn them. And they didn't want to have to, if they would have said we don't know in the beginning, and then you got somebody from a school or some kind of official or friend or family member that said, no, we reached out to the FBI, it would make them look worse. And
whoopsies, they're bad.
And I really think that, the irony after all that, the thing that I really thought that was kind of shady about how everything happened was that on the very Friday after we started, it happened on was it Tuesday or Wednesday, and then by Thursday or Friday they made these big arrests in this Russia investigation.
Yeah, no.
And so now no one's talking about that, and it's amazing that that the FBI, I don't know what's going on over there, but for them to miss that when you were getting signs shows that they do kind of, like the president said, need to get back to basics and do the things that they were really charged to do, which is protect the public from these kind of threats. And if you're getting information and tips on it, I think you better act on it. And I think that hopefully that's one of the things they're going to learn, at least moving forward on that, is that don't leave any stone unturned in dealing with these kind of potential tragedies.
Or did they purposely not act on it?
I don't know. Hopefully, thank you so much, Chris, for calling in. I appreciate that. All right, let's go to Michael. Michael's on the line. Michael, thanks for waiting.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So what do you think we need to do here? As we're looking at the tragedy first in Florida, what do you think that we could have done differently that could have prevented this tragedy? Or do you think there's anything that could have been done?
Well, I would just say if the police can have automatic rifles, I want an automatic rifle. Equal to.
Fair enough. Fair enough, yeah. Michael. I listen. I feel like if one thing for sure, we know the criminals are going to have them, and if you're going to let the police have them, why shouldn't law-abiding citizens be able to do the same thing?
We have crooked police officers that be out there, and just in case a day may come where
a tyrannical government could be in place.
Correct. Then what the people gonna do? We done gave up all our guns. We don't even.
And that is why that it will never happen like that in America. And I honestly believe that there's just enough people that understand the Constitution and know what their God-given rights are in this country, and also that have a very, very distrustful view of government, which it always blows my mind that, a lot of people who have grown up in my community did not trust law enforcement, definitely didn't trust the FBI. And so seeing some of this stuff happen now, it amazes me that so many people are willing to compromise their own constitutional rights essentially because of something a bad person has done.
Correct. The people also forget, like down in Ferguson, where they was having peaceful protests.
Mm-hmm.
The army armed the civilian police with military-style weaponry.
Well, they are, and a lot of these police departments now have that. They've somehow, all this money they've been able to confiscate in the war on drugs and all these other things they've managed in federal programs where they give them, these tanks and military items. A lot of police forces have what I would consider military weapons and military, instruments that they're using in communities, and I think that's something we have to really take a deeper look at as well. You can't you can't tell the citizens that we need to take away all of our, instruments to protect ourselves, but instead loading up the government agents with all this. It doesn't seem like that's gonna work here in America.
Correct. Now, also one last comment.
Mm-hmm.
Trump. He has been showing his guilt. I know nothing has been as far as said within his name about this investigation, but it's still an investigation. So,
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Michael. I think that I'm sure his lawyers have probably tried to tell him this, but if I was him or if I was advising him, I'd tell him not to say anything right now. Stay off of Twitter. Stop talking about it. I mean, if this is any other person that was, even under the scope of an investigation, they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't call out the investigators, wouldn't go on Twitter. You wouldn't do that. I mean, you just would not do that if you were anybody else. And so I just think
it's by it all being out in the open now, it seems as if him, the president of the United States, will be speaking against what just happened as far as the Russians meddling in the United States elections. He's never stated, he's going to talk to Putin about it. He never stated, well, we're going to do something about those Russians. No retaliation whatsoever. And to me, that's showing a sign of guilt. So
Interesting, Michael. I think it's more trying to show some diplomatic strength by not jumping over every media story. But it's been confirmed now, like I said, that they did get involved. It's not a case of did they get involved in the point that they helped Trump win. And I think that's what Trump is, why he's resisted getting involved in this too much, is because he doesn't want to concede anything, because the fact is, in his mind, and this is what I've kind of understood, that he doesn't want to concede anything towards Russia. I think that we'll see what happens. But I think the Mueller, I would never want to have Robert Mueller investigate me for anything. I'll just be quite honest.
No. I just go ahead and tell him what I did at the biz.
Well, he just arrested a lawyer today for lying, and
to the face.
Yeah. So I mean, this is nothing to play with, and I hope that the investigation is fair, and we can get through this, and again, that Donald Trump can move forward with his presidency. But we will see what happens. We'll be looking forward like everyone else.
All right, good talking to you. Have a good one.
Thanks, Michael, for calling in. I appreciate it. Chad, you're on the line.
Hello, how you doing, Wayne, brother? It's about time.
All right.
About time. I tell you, that let us talk about something, get an escape and talk about something fictional but yet positive for a change. Mm-hmm. And you know what, I'm going to talk about that Black Panther movie. How did you like it? I heard it broke records. And
I was part of that record-breaking effort. I was there twice this weekend.
Dang.
I went on a movie premiere, and interestingly enough, I was at the Republican Party hosted a movie premiere.
Yeah.
And so we went on that on Thursday evening, and it was great. We had a business panel with Dr. Ken Harris from the National Business League. So we talked about the impact, and this is something that you're seeing now, the impact of the black dollar, and you're seeing even at this box office over $404 million in a 4-day haul for this movie, breaking all kind of records. And I think
Isn't that something?
Yep, and I think that it opens a bigger question of of how we need to work together with black economics and rebuilding some of our own communities and supporting black businesses. But overall, the movie was great. It had some very strong powerful stories and backstories and things to understand in terms of, the empowerment of women in that movie. I mean, that was a pretty powerful story. So, no, I enjoyed it, and I encourage everyone to go out and check it out.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go see it Thursday, Mr. Bradley.
All right.
And I'll probably go see it 3 times because, like I say, you're an intelligent young man, very prosperous. And I want to say this before I leave. Let us Afro-Americans stop limiting each other to a political party and just look at us, first of all, as human beings.
There you go.
Then respect us, either Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever, and stop all this fighting. I mean, there's no wonder why a lot of countries are looking at us like they are, because we're doing all this fighting. And I've always heard that it say a home divided against itself cannot stand. You know what I mean? That's crazy. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? We're human beings first, Americans second, and then third, our own individual, political party. And I respect you for that. I'm proud of you as a young African American Republican brother out here doing your thing. And I ask that you continue to keep up the good work. And I know the Lord's going to bless you because you're a godly man, first of all. Because I will say this: the Republican Party does, give great admiration and give refuge to the moral aspect of a lot of things that is not too popular with people that are immoral. And sadly to say, there's another party that sort of caters to that, and they need to watch that if you want to be right and in line with God's word. That's all I'm going to say. And on that note, have a blessed evening, sir, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Chad. I appreciate that. Appreciate that call. All right, so we are my board operator has just walked away here. If you're calling in, I'm sorry you missed that call. We will get to this next call in a minute. Let's see here. We missed one here. We're going to go to Rick. Rick, who's on the line. Rick, thanks for calling in.
Hey, Wayne, how you doing? It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
All right. Well, how you doing? I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Just a scenario for you. Of course, we all know nobody needs a assault weapon. That's just the way it is. But the problem is if they criminalize the assault weapons and make them illegal, this means that they would criminalize the white community and all kinds of things would happen and everything else. But let's draw a scenario here. How about they say that all President Trump, if he had some nerve, if your boy had some guts, this is what I'm trying to say, if he had some guts, he would say, hey, all assault weapons are banned. He wants to turn them in. He'll take that $25 million he wants to build a wall with and refund everybody who turns them in, give them about 60 days. And if they don't turn them in, they'll have more people in jail, which will be mostly white people who will be criminalized, and they can afford to pay bail and everything else. It means the companies that run all the private prisons, they would be happy because they're making more money now. And all this always be on the street, I'd be happy. And then President Trump would go down in history as doing something to actually save lives, like Obama's thing was Obamacare. Obamacare has saved a lot of lives. Everybody forgets about that. He saved a lot of lives. But Trump could save a lot of lives by banning the assault weapons, and he would go down in history as one of the great presidents who turned his nose up at the NRA and everybody else and actually made a difference.
I guess we're all allowed to dream, Rick, but that's never going to happen.
Well, I'm just saying he could do anything. Trump is very unpredictable. You can't predict.
I will give you credit for that. He is unpredictable.
He's going to do is he's going to tweet and he's going to play golf. That's what he's going to do. That's the two things I know he's going to do. As far as leading, I don't know if he's going to do that. And like I said, the assault weapons and all that stuff.
I still don't know what an assault weapon is.
They don't have a place in America. They just don't have a place in a household, American household. Okay, so you can't buy air missiles. You can't buy landmines. You can't buy bazookas. You can't buy mortars. You can't buy any of that stuff. All that stuff is meant for the military, same as an assault weapon. It's a military thing. You don't need that as a civilian. We don't need those things. And it's proven. And everybody, and to be honest with you, you talk about the FBI watch list, everybody who has purchased AR-15 or any assault rifles, all on the FBI's watch list. They can't watch everybody.
So the point being is, why would you even go for it?
Anybody who has an assault weapon can snap and go out and kill people. Then, like the guy in Las Vegas, now, he wasn't on anybody's watch list, but he had all these guns. He was fine. He was a millionaire. He did everything. He snapped. He did something stupid because he had an assault weapon. Okay, anybody can do that. And anybody can cut. If you have an assault weapon or the means to do that, anybody can snap. So everybody who has an assault weapon that buys 5,000 rounds of ammunition and 10 assault weapons, they're going to be on the list anyway. The FBI cannot watch everybody. And this one little kid who bought this assault weapon never should have had that. So anyway, well, that's all I really have to say about it. But you can refute me if you feel like I'll be happy.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair. It's a fair debate. I just don't think that when you start talking about banning them all and taking away everything, that's just,
every single one.
It's not going to happen.
All.
I think that
it worked in Japan, it worked in Australia, it worked in Finland, it worked in Germany, it works everywhere else. It worked here too. But of course, we have somebody called them not reasonable at all. I mean, the NRA, they got the same thing.
Yeah, no,
we have somebody like that.
Well, you know, we thank goodness we have the NRA, which is the longest-standing civil rights organization in America. But I do understand.
Right?
It is a civil rights organization, Rick.
Right. It's more like fleecing instead of policing, isn't it?
No,
they take money. They're not doing anything to help. What have they done in my neighborhood to help me out and to help the black community? What have they done besides put us in jail?
The NRA goes back to our civil rights era go back to Dr. Ozian's suite here in Detroit. When the doctors tried,
Did they bail Martin Luther King out of jail? Did they stop the dogs from being?
They supported the ability of Martin Luther King to protect himself. I tell you that, and they supported Malcolm X.
He's been in jail.
Malcolm X was able to, and the Muslims were able to protect themselves too. And the NRA supported all those different causes because we're all Americans and we're all entitled to be able to protect ourselves. But hey, Rick, I do appreciate. Let's see what happens on that. But it's not going to happen where all the guns will be banned. But I do appreciate your call.
You got to admit it's a good idea.
I don't know if it's a good idea. It's an idea, but I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Ain't gonna happen either.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll see about the wall. We're gonna move forward on that.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Sounds good, Wayne.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're gonna go to Aiden. Aiden's on the line. Aiden, thanks for calling in.
This is David. How
David,
you doing, Wayne?
How you doing? Sorry about that.
That's okay. I have a solution to this problem.
What's that?
And the federal government, since Trump is willing to spend $14 billion to build a wall, all you have to do is fund it. All the public schools and even charter schools and private schools, if they want cops at their school,
right,
the federal government's going to pay for it. Simple as that. We'll have 2 cops at each school with kids at 10.
I would be more open to that, and that would make more sense to me. And I think that you would have almost an immediate drop in these kind of. I mean, it's not like it happens all the time anyway, but I don't think that most of the time when these happen, they go to places that have no defense. You know, you're putting on a big sign up that says gun-free school zone. You never have mass shootings at a shooting range. You know why? Because even the crazy guy knows this is not a place where I can get a bunch of sitting ducks and victims. You go to a school, you go to a church, and even in churches now you're starting to see more people arm themselves. So I just think that you have to make people think twice about even doing these things. And I think having these gun-free zones is like putting up a sign that says "Come and do something bad here."
Right. You know, this is my solution. This is the best solution. Federal government pay for all the cops at all the schools. Who will be against that? Nobody.
No, I agree. Not especially right now. I think that would be an immediate stopgap solution that everyone could come up with money for, and maybe, like you say, pay the OT to the police department that is working those schools or whatever you got to do. But I do think that there's some ways you could do that without calling for everyone's guns to be banned.
Exactly. All right. Take care, Wayne.
Thank you so much, Aiden. I appreciate David. I'm sorry for calling. He got Aiden on here. Thanks, David, for calling.
That's okay.
All right, my brother. Thank you for calling in. Shouts out to Terrace Todd watching here on the Facebook. Of course, Anthony, you can call back in. Terrace, we're going to have to bring you on the show. Maybe we can have you come in. We'll have you talk about what's going on in Battle Creek next week. Let's try to hook that up for Friday's show. All right. See you tomorrow as well at the Black History Month event down at the St. Regis Hotel. The Michigan Black Republican Party is hosting their 5th annual event. and we're going to have a good time tomorrow night. So we'll be right back on the Wayne Bradley Show, thinking that either I'm going to post the interview with Cliff Russell or maybe tomorrow, because I won't be in the air. We can do the whole interview tomorrow because we have 2 hours. I think that's what we're going to do. So give us a call, 313-778-7600 on the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 a.m. Your superstation, the future of radio.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
910 AM has something that no other station has. A platform for everyone to have a voice. Black, white, young, old. It's a place for people to be themselves.
I love 910 AM. So many articulate and thoughtful, diverse voices and wonderful stories.
So when you think of 910 AM Superstation, we want you to tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media.
910 AM Superstation is launching a new initiative called the 910 AM Ambassadors Program,
where schools will be provided a platform to allow their inspiring broadcast and media students to weekly broadcast, highlighting their schools.
All we will need is a 60-second video taken from a smartphone, tablet, or video camera, highlighting a story at your school.
Whether it's featuring one of your athletic teams, a student organization helping in a community, a student being chosen for a scholarship, or a teacher's unique approach to relating to students.
Whatever weekly story will best show how your school is unique and set apart, that's what we want to promote.
Your weekly video will be featured on all our social media platforms, from Facebook to Instagram.
To receive more information or speak with our ambassador representative, email us at 910amradio@gmail.com.
And don't forget to watch and listen for your story soon on 910 AM Superstation, the future of radio.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I absolutely love this radio station. This station gets me through the work week.
And we don't just show love to the callers. We see the comments and the posts too.
I'm always on the go, so being able to watch all my favorite hosts on 910 AM mobile app is amazing.
So when you think of 910 AM Superstation, we want you to tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show, live on 910 AM, your superstation, the future of radio. We've been talking about this gun ban and the possibilities. When I heard the last caller saying that just ban them all, that's the problem in America in terms of that, is that one guy and, someone else's mistake should not affect and take away the rights for everyone else that is a law-abiding citizens. And I think that's where you're going to always have your trouble here in America. So this is a gun-loving country. Always has been, always will be. And I think that you're going to continue to struggle with that. So let's go to my guy, Anthony, who had to call back. He wanted to chime in again. Thanks for calling back in, Anthony.
Just call back and talk about this important topic.
Go ahead, my brother. You're going in and out there, man. I'm trying to catch you.
All on social media, all I've been seeing is these Wolverine fans talking about they're the 2013 champions now.
Man, they'll take any asterisk championship they can get in any sport.
I'm totally
they're still claiming that 1997 national championship in football when Nebraska won. I mean, they'll take any route they can to claim a winning title. I'm like,
how do you guys want to take credit for this Louisville crap?
Nah, they did not. You didn't win. You know, it's not like they used. You know, I mean, they didn't win. It's just. I understand them. They want so bad to stay relevant and to be at the the top of the rim in sports that they'll take any victory any way they can. But you know, like winning like that is like almost like getting a kiss from your sister, man. It means nothing.
You know what? It's mainly the Walmart Wolverines. But hey,
man,
you know,
yeah. I mean, some of these Wolverines have some honor still. I've seen a couple that are willing not to accept it, but some of these guys, they want any claim to a Wolverine victory. It's quite sad to see. And I got to, I got to ask you this, Anthony. I know you're not a Republican. I know you don't like sometimes how we move, but you got to give credit to John Engler and the way he's handling this Michigan State investigation.
Oh yeah,
has he not turned this thing around pretty quickly? And at least the narrative, because we all knew ESPN was reaching for a story. And what they tried to do, the disgusting part was they took a serious issue, which was the Nassar situation, and tried to just wrap Izzo and Coach D into it. And I think that's where ESPN was wrong. I mean, it's a sensational, nasty story in itself if you just went after Nassar. And you could even point to some of the things that maybe some of these, like the president who resigned, how they ignored signs and ignored things. But to try to bring in Coach D and Izzo into this was disgusting.
And then, like, whatever. But,
you're in and out, man. You must live in a brick house with the big bricks.
No, I thought the phone. Sorry, but can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, after that 27-point comeback against Northwestern, ESPN talked about a freshman that groped somebody like on the butt.
Well,
as the main story. I was like, come on, all right, now I know it's for sure it's a hick job. You know, like, come on.
Sex and scandals.
You're talking about grabbing a booty?
Sex and scandals have always sold in the media.
Walk on.
And it's nothing better to like when you can go after someone that has a clean name who doesn't get involved in this stuff and try to dirty them all up. And that's all that was. And, again, I don't question the fact that ESPN wants to get to the bottom of the Nassar investigation, but I just did not understand how you could bring in two men of honor.
Yeah.
The way, and again, they're not perfect. No one's perfect. But the idea that you just, take a pedophile, a sick man, and then somehow try to just spread that around to our whole university.
Right. It was too much, and I think it's some type of real beef going on between that writer and Michigan State. But to bring up reason why I brought up this stuff, because I think it's wrong, period, for anybody, even to take away, like, with kids, their championships and their wins and stuff like that. Even with the 5-5 and everything like that, everybody didn't do it. So why does
And the thing that amazes me is these coaches and all these guys that are the ones funneling the money, they go on to another job. Eventually they get another job. Now some of these people in this Louisville scandal might not ever get a job in college ball ever again. But like Chuck Person, he played in the NBA. He'll get a job again in NBA.
One of the things real quick, Jay Williams pointed out on ESPN, he said, was the NCAA going to give back all the money and merchandise they made from that championship game?
Never.
Since they're taking away these kids' championship. I don't think it's right. Like I said, I don't think it was right what they did to the 5-5. I don't think it's right what they do in the Louisville. Like, all right, punish them by the pockets. You know what I mean?
Take it from the school. Take it from the people that have benefited the most anyway in this situation. I mean, they have boosters that would probably willingly pay the fines before they would want you to take away the trophies. And again, if I was on that team and I worked hard, if I wasn't the star player that received these benefits, and you're one of the guys that are 5 through 8 on that team in terms of playing, then they deserve that championship. And
you're right.
And I get it that some of the players or whatnot, but I just think at the end of the day, if you were paying players in the first place, you could avoid a portion of these situations. If we would stop the hypocrisy of saying that, we're giving these guys a college education and that should be enough, when some of these guys are generating millions and millions of dollars for their schools, it's not an equitable relationship. It's definitely not a fair and equitable relationship. So
I just had to change the subject a little bit. My bad.
Oh, no, it's no problem, man. What are we looking like at this game? What's the score now?
It's 50-36, 14 minutes to go. That's the only reason why I called.
We're looking good here. Sounds like we got this in the bag. All right, excellent. I guess one time, man, we can thank those Wolverines for helping us out, huh?
Oh man, I hit with Paul. Yeah, Paul. I told him, like, man, thank you.
Yeah, this one time you Wolverines finally did something right. We'll give you credit this time. We give one time only. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. So let's give them credit where credit is due. Thanks, Wolverines.
And that's it. That's all the credit I'm gonna give them.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Anthony. All right, let's go to Mark. Mark is on the line. Mark, thanks for calling in.
Hey, Rain, this is me.
Hey.
I had 2 quick points. I'll be real quick with it.
Okay, go ahead.
My first point was about the gun control.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree with you about being pro-gun because without guns, none of us will be safe.
Right.
And so I'm pro, Second Amendment about that. My second point was it was this. I think from my understanding of, I forgot the name of it, but I think the senator, not Sean McCain, but the other senator from Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bill. It was DA. It had something to do with children of immigrants. And the reason why I brought that up is because my mother was black and my father was from India.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born. I'm legal. I mean, being a legal citizen because my mother was born here anyways, and I was born in Detroit.
Okay.
And but anyways, my father was from India, and I guess it's kind of like a question. What's your thoughts about that? Because I absolutely agree with the President Trump about immigration. Though I don't think nobody should be coming here illegally, and I think everybody should. All the immigrants that come to the United States should come here legally and obey by the rules, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't, that would be kind of unfair.
Well, yeah, because you have a bunch of people that are playing by the rules, that are waiting in line patiently, not coming here illegally. And what does that tell them if we allow a bunch of people that have come here illegally, put them ahead of them in the line? And there's no penalty for breaking the law in the first place.
And I did have one more part. Because I saw on Facebook there's a Black History Republican fan tomorrow.
Yep, you coming out, Mark?
Oh, yes, sir. You will see me there tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, man. I appreciate you supporting us and coming out and working with us.
That was all I had.
All right. Well, thank you, man, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless you.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to Hashim. Hasim. All right.
Yeah.
Hasim, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, Wayne, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Good job. I didn't see you put your name yet for District 13, so what's going on?
I have not made any decision if I'm running from the 13th district, but I think that I'm right now. What I would say is I'm committed to looking for the best candidate for that job. I don't know if that's necessarily me, but we are definitely on the prowl, on the lookout for a worthy candidate of that seat because the 13th district Democrats are going to rip each other up. Might not be much left of that person after they make it through that race.
Well, what I'm saying is just throw your name in and see what's going on. You may not win from the first time, but it's time for you, I think, with all the knowledge and the ability to speak the grassroots. I think you will make a good public servant.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely sometimes I definitely think about that and I pray on that. And I'm not going to say that I won't ever get involved and be a public servant because I do think that is one of the most important things you can do. But I right now just got to pray on it and see where I'm at. But I do appreciate your vote of confidence. When people tell me that, it definitely gets me into the mind frame of thinking about that long term and coming and serving the people in my community. So thank you.
Okay, well, I have a comment regarding guns and school shootings, all this, and today we had something happen. One of the kids shot himself in one school. I don't know where. I heard in the news.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I saw that he shot himself.
Yeah, let's put it this way. We are not in England. We are not in Europe. We are not in the Middle East. We are not in the moon. We are not on Mars. We are in the United States of America.
Right.
It's defined as south is Mexico, Cuba with the sea, north is Canada, and they are planting in the Pacific. That's the United States of America.
Yep.
In that particular country, it's what we call it's a republic, and it's politically, run by a constitution. That this constitution, clearly made it possible for the citizens of this particular republic to bear arms to defend themselves. So let's put it this way. Let's understand that this country, okay, you can't compare it to Parliament, to Canada, Mexico. We in this country are, or let's say we in this country, we have the right to bear arms. This is our constitutional right. It's not changed yet, and I don't think it will change. But
no, I don't either.
It's your right. You don't have to.
Right.
I don't know. I don't own arms. I don't like to own arms. I hate it. But that doesn't mean
that's your right. That's your right to feel that.
That's my right to accept or reject or exercise or not exercise my right based on my beliefs. So here we are.
That's it.
So everything, Wayne, let's put it this way. Everything should govern around that we as a country here, police, FBI, CIA, law enforcement, whatever, it's more of, their role is more of like preventing or catching after what something happens. You are not, in a role of like monitoring every citizen. I mean, when you have the right to bear arms, and if you bear arms, now the arm in your hand become a dangerous or a defendant of your rights or whatever it is. It's a human being, and since a human being is not static, that's why a part of how we defend ourselves in this country, some believe, or under the Constitution, you have the right to defend yourself.
Right.
Protect your property, protect yourself against danger, against whatever it is. Now, we have to start rethinking, how we think about law enforcement or the FBI, whatever, that they have to catch everything.
Right.
They can't catch everything.
It's impossible.
They can't catch everything.
No, I agree.
And they are not going to be able to prevent everything. So how we can enhance, situations in school security, churches, mosques, synagogues, street, whatever. How we can do that? Are we going to hire a police officer like a dictatorship country? For every man, we put an agent to watch that person or watch that family? No. We have in America, we have almost 120 million family.
Right.
What are we going to do? How are we going to protect 120 million family, Wayne?
No, that's up to
they have to.
That's a personal responsibility. Protection is a personal responsibility. The police and your government can only do so much.
So, like some of us would like to have security cameras, security sirens. Some of us, they like to have a shotgun. Some of us, they like to have guns because they go hunt. Some people hate guns. I don't like to hunt. I like animals. But again, I also rely sometimes, on my friends in the neighborhood, I know they may have guns. If there's something in a year or something, if they like to use their guns and defend the neighborhood, that's fine against criminals. But what I am saying here, if I go to the mosque, I would love to know that some people in the mosque, they have their guns on, and I hope, and I believe if you are responsible, you add to defending me if something happens, if I don't like the bear arms.
Right. No doubt about it.
I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be killed, then police comes later, and now we see all the police, thousands of them.
Right.
At what?
Like, it's no good at that point. Where were you guys when we needed the help? They only come when the crime has been committed, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, but Wayne, they can't. You don't blame them because it's more of prevention and trying to minimize the effect after things happen.
Right.
If they know about it. But, we can't blame them. They don't know everything.
No, I agree. No, they can only be in so many places at so many times. There's no question about that.
And the human beings makes mistakes sometimes. You don't take certain things as serious as, because you may have something there we don't know about. They may have situation with this kid that they didn't know about and they didn't think it's serious. Or they didn't. Look, we don't know what's the motive, not to go and arrest him before he did that. Now, can we arrest everybody?
No,
you know how many...
we know that can't happen. I tell you what...
Wayne.
Yes.
Wayne. Do you know how many people will have a mental issues in this country? Almost over 50 million.
Wow.
So what we do with them?
Well, everybody who's got a mental issue, it could be, or some kind of issue like that. It could go. The thing that they didn't want that to be reported to the government because it could be as much as a sleeping issue or an anxiety issue, and they label that as a mental issue in terms of
Wayne. Let me say something, and I'm gonna quit.
Go ahead.
Let's say you are saying right now, and after 5 years. You start having some issues. So what do? You are monitoring. We're going to be monitoring everybody, mental health situation, and have a database, to go and confiscate the guns from people when they change their moods.
No, I don't think that's a realistic approach.
What we going to do about it?
Well, I think that we have to. One thing I do think we have to do is, from just a local community level. We have to, make sure people are getting the help. If they're showing signs, we have to do a better job of identifying and getting people the help they need. And from a bigger level, the government.
Wayne, if I don't like my neighbor behavior, so I call the law enforcement, and they put the white coat backward on his hand.
Well, it depends on what he's done to make you feel that way. If he's just talking or being loud, but if he's actually proven to be a threat or aggressive, then you need to, talk to his family members. It depends on the situation. I just think that overall, and even from a government standpoint, we have to make sure we have the resources. Typically when we're doing these budgets, when it's in healthcare or anything like that, those are the things that are always getting cut, and I think we just have to do a better job of taking care of some of our community's most people that need it the most, and I think that we can do a better job of that.
So we need. How many shrink you think we need? We need hundreds of thousands of psychologists. Psychology. We need a code of mental health standard in this country, so we got to teach the police officers.
I think all those things you're talking about. I think all those things you're talking about are actual solutions. Yeah, I don't have a problem with hiring more psychologists, putting them in schools. You got to think right now, if there's not a psychologist, right, in every school in America, at least from middle school through high school, how many of those do we need to hire? Okay, and in terms of even facilities, we closed down a lot of facilities. Maybe we need to go back and to look into that, but also improving the level of care that they get in those facilities because the facilities themselves had become liabilities because we weren't taking good care of the people that were in those hospitals. So there are solutions. There's things we can do out here. I don't have a problem with the idea of hiring more therapists and more counselors, because it doesn't necessarily mean they need to be on drugs. They might just need someone to talk to. And we have to get rid of that stigma that going to talk to someone is a bad thing, in particular for men and young men in the black community. These are all things that we can improve on and make some changes. So, but I do appreciate you calling in today, Asim. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so tomorrow, listen what we're going to do here. I was going to do a clip from the Cliff Russell for me and him doing our last interview together. But tomorrow, since I will be at the Black History Month dinner, we're going to go ahead and air our full interview tomorrow as a dedication to Cliff Russell. And you can listen to that as an intelligent debate. No name calling, just going back and forth on the issues. And we had a great time doing it. So tomorrow we're going to do that. And if you're not coming to the Black History Month event tomorrow, I would also tell you to come down to Center Park in the evening for the Afterglow. It's going to start around 9 p.m. That's at 1426 Randolph downtown. If you get a chance, come on down there and celebrate with us as we wrap up our annual Black History Month celebration. And for a lot of people that aren't familiar, the Michigan Republican Party we've been putting on a very large and I would call successful Black History Month event every year for the last 5 years. And I'm proud to have been part of every one of those. And it's a great way of reaching out to the community, getting more folks involved. And I'd love to see some folks. Like I said, if you're not coming to the dinner, if you weren't aware of that, come on out tomorrow night to Center Park around 9 p.m. And we're going to celebrate a little bit. And I'd love to see anybody that, listens to the show, supports me or anything like that. Come on out. Let's have a toast. Let's have a drink together. And like I said, sooner or later, we're going to do one of our live Fridays from Center Park Bar. I think that would be really fun. Bring out some extra folks and talk some more politics. But we got some things in the works, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Give us a call, 313-778-7600. I want to thank all my callers that have called in today and talked about all the relevant issues. I don't think there is a one-size-fit-all solution to our to gun issues in America, because there's multi-layered problems in some of these solutions and in dealing with some of these people. I think that people are talking about, well, we need to do better checkups with gun background checks, and how do you link that to mental health? And so I don't know if people are willing to give up all their personal information to the government. I know I personally have a problem with trusting the government that way. I don't know if that's going to work. So give us a call. We got a call, 313-778-7600. Oh, did I hear the name? I think I did hear the name. My guy's calling in right now. He's going. It's only right. Only got a few minutes left. Guess we're going to ride out and do it big together. My guy Walter is on the line. Give it up for Walter. I can't believe some people are trying to salt up the name of my good brother Walter.
You suck.
Walter, welcome to the show, my friend.
Straight from the heart of Jawan. I know.
I'm going to ask him, man, at some point, only one set of booze should be necessary for a man of your caliber coming on here this evening, but I appreciate you calling in. I don't know if you heard any of that foolishness earlier, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. But did you hear that someone called and tried to somehow besmirch your name involved in all the things that have happened here on this radio station?
No, I didn't hear. I just tuned in.
Well, you know what? Then I tell you what, Walter, we're not going to waste our positive time here talking about that, because it was just some ignorance earlier on David Bullock's show and all that. I usually don't promote these guys. I don't give any of those guys free airtime on my show. So you know what? We're just going to move past that. Walter.
Yeah, we won't talk about David Bullock's embalming fluid tabernacle today.
No, we're not going to do that. But all I will say is that they tried to invoke your name into the tragic passing of Cliff Russell, and I didn't appreciate that one bit.
Were you trying to say I gave him a heart attack?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something to that extent.
Oh, man.
Terrible.
I knew it was coming. I was thinking about that very thing yesterday, but
Nah,
said that.
Yeah, they need their head examined, and like I said, all prayers, thoughts, and prayers are going out to Cliff Russell's family in this rough time, man. So, Walter,
I'm just shocked with the gun issue. The gun issue.
Yeah, the gun issue.
The problem with the mass murderings and mass killings is guns.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think?
What I mean by that, the problem is guns, period.
Right.
Because and the lack thereof. I thought I'd get you on that one. The lack of guns in the hands of the teachers.
Right.
We will stop some of this foolishness. They can come up with all these sidebar issues about Debbie Stabber Cow now, known as Debbie Stabber now. Okay, that's right. I said it. Debbie Stabber Cow now. Debbie Stabber in the back now.
Debbie Stab 'em all. Debbie Stab 'em all. She always supporting abortion and everything else. Yep, that's her.
You suck. That sounds like Javon there.
Oh yeah. He's got to have his sidebar in there. You know how we do it.
But yes, they all say you notice the Democrats all say the same stuff. We need common sense gun laws. No more guns. We need to get serious about this issue. A bunch of foolishness, man. The only solution is more guns in the hands of the right people.
That's right. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Yeah, and all this foolishness about guns, the stocks and all that, and how much we should be able to buy any and every type of gun. And we realize that it's not in the Constitution just to have a gun, for us, the Second Amendment, but also to help the military fight against an invading army.
Right.
So what good is it? So you need a semi-automatic and an automatic. It doesn't matter because people like you and me, we're not out to do any wrong. Nobody's out to do anything wrong but the Democratic Party, who are the mass slaughterers of babies through their abortion bills, through their promotion of abortion on their political party ticket and all that. That's part of their platform.
Right.
So I don't want one Democrat to say one more word about our kids are getting killed in our schools. These are a bunch of first-class hypocrites. They don't say nothing about the abortion clinics. Channel 7 News don't say nothing about it. The news truck pass up the abortion clinics and go right to the dog stuff and the animals.
You ain't lying, man. You are not lying about that, Walter. They will drive right past the abortion clinic where people are protesting out there, drive right past that and go to a dog that is lost in the shelter somewhere. It's a shame.
They going up rounding up dogs and animals everywhere, and they be boo-hooing on TV playing love songs to dogs. And God knows I love my animals too. But man, don't put the major on the minors and minor on the majors. The Channel 7 gossip team, Channel 4 backbiters team, and all Channel 2 Fox, Hugh Perkins, whatever that clown name is. Get out of here with that foolishness. That's the solution to guns, man. All this guns. All this other talk, laying on these bunch of pamper wearing. That's right, I said pamper wearing teenagers laying on the ground with all that nonsense. That's right.
You knew that was coming, Walter.
I love it, man. That's right. Make me famous again, buddy.
You're a villain. You know, question 910's favorite villain, Walter. No,
but I could go on and on. I don't know what other issues you touched off on, but this foolishness about Russia. That John Kerry looking clown Moeller, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I don't know. Though. I wouldn't want to mess with Mueller. He's about that business, Walter. If you cheated on a test in 7th grade, that man's gonna find out about it. He doesn't play around. I'm not a fan of Mueller. I didn't like him when he was doing the stuff in the NFL, but I know that he's not to play around with. I will say that. I will give him his respect for knowing his investigative skills, his prowess, and knowing that that's nothing to play with.
Donald Trump should have long got rid of that clown. He ain't do nothing but demon hunting and everything else. That guy, what a waste of time. Anybody look like John Kerry is a big crook anyway.
Oh,
don't he look like John Kerry? Don't he look like John Kerry?
Yes, he does. He definitely does. They have a strong resemblance.
He looked like a drunk version of John Kerry and the demon-possessed version of John Kerry. I'm out of here, man.
Thank you, Walter. I appreciate it for calling in. tell you, Walter is the most hated on 910 AM, your Superstation. You know, we got to go. We're going to finish up with Big Al. Big Al wrapping up. Thanks for calling in, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just calling in, man. You know what's sad about Walter is he really think he's doing something, man. When Reverend Bullock did his thing this morning, it was to remember Cliff Russell, man.
Okay.
He may not respect Cliff Russell, but Cliff Russell is respected by a lot of people in this town.
No question.
I bet you if Walter passed away, a lot of people may not respect Walter because Walter talks real negative about people. He has the right to his opinion, man. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, man. He's a sad individual, man. If that's somebody's father, man, I feel bad that that's their father because he has no respect for anybody, man. And that's sad, man. Now, I know you may agree with him on some things, but that's just sad, man. He's a sad individual. I'm just going to pray for him, man. I pray that he takes a good look at himself in the mirror because, man, he's just real sad, man.
Well, we got to pray for everybody out here, man. Thanks, Big Al.
I pray for everybody, man. But I'm just sad, man, because all Reverend Bullock was trying to do was give Cliff his just due, man.
Well, tomorrow we're gonna give Cliff Russell his just due on my show tomorrow night. We're gonna replay our last interview together. So again, rest in peace, Cliff Russell. Praying for the family. And tomorrow night, listen to the Wayne Bradley Show, and you can listen to our one-on-one, our last interview together. Thanks again for listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your Superstation, the future of radio.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. I hope you're having a great day. I certainly am. I'm here in Los Angeles with my staff as we're getting ready to premiere this new show, The Upside with Tavis Smiley, on the Word Network this spring, a show about the power of resilience, the ability to overcome the obstacles that life puts in our way and live on the upside of life. Excited about bringing this new show to the Word Network this spring. We're busy working on our new set design and getting our theme music ready and our new logo. You can't do a new show without a new logo. There's the new logo for The Upside with Tavis Smiley again, coming to the Word Network this spring. You can go to our website at theupsidewithTavisSmiley.com to get more details and sign up to stay in touch with us. But I'm going to be checking in here periodically to give you updates and share some secrets about the backstory of building this production to come to the Word Network this spring. So until next time, thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
910 AM Superstation, the leader in opinions.
Malcolm and the Muslim movement back then never preached in selling drugs, raping, and crime. They always talk about defending yourself.
Yeah, but both of them talked about a clean spirit. Both of them talked about moving black folks. Both of them talked about moving black folks forward. And the question is, my brother,
the reason why the media and the school always push Martin, and when you go into most black folks' home, you see Martin and not Malcolm.
I agree with that, brother.
Malcolm way of thinking, it works. Anytime you want to integrate with somebody like Trump and Duggan, you misleading your people.
Hold on.
Jews don't think that way. Chinese, Arabs don't think that way. So again, let's get ourselves together. Then we'll
brother.
And the power, the greatest power is economic power.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
I mean, that's what it all is.
910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit and the talk of the town. Weekdays, weeknights, weekends, and everything in between. If you want national topics, we have it.
Is this DACA challenge that the president has presented? He rolled back the...
Well, he hasn't done it yet. Anybody who says that they know what he's going to do before it happens is making a mistake.
Local discussions, we have that too.
You know, the Pistons, the Red Wings, those arenas, they were made for people primarily in the suburbs, I think, coming in.
Entertainment and relationships? Listen up. And if you thought we were restricted to only the radio, think again. You can hear all of this on 910 AM as well as on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube Live, YouTube Red, and Facebook Live. That's right. Download the